Hello and welcome to Who Dares Rules TV. I am your host Mike B, and here we are again in the last death rattles of July. It's over. So it's bits and pieces to run through. So we'll do that. So let's go straight into what we've played, what I've played. Let's do that.
What's Mike played? I really want to know what Mike's played. What you played, Mike? Oh, and you other guys.
So yes, a couple of things. Actually quite a good level of board gameage got to the table over this weekend. So Saturday, I think. I managed to get a game in of Dinogenics. So Dinogenics came out a little time after Dinosaur Island. Similarly themed one of you building a Jurassic Park style theme park and breeding your DNA, genetically building your dinosaurs, pop them into your park, and visitors come, you're earning money. Very similar theme. There was a base game came out, which was a fairly rudimentary worker placement game, and then they subsequently did a second Kickstarter, which bolted on an expansion that had a little bit more meat to the proceedings. So I played all of it in one go, first time out the gate. So I'll give thoughts and opinions on that. It's aesthetically very pleasing. Obviously lots of wooden dinosaurs and park you can build and all this sort of stuff. Very similar in some ways to Dinosaur Island, in a lot of ways aesthetically different, because Dinosaur Island's kind of got this 80s day glow sort of thing going on with it. But yeah, the basic gist is the same, is that you're a corporation running your park. You could build pens to put your dinosaurs in. Now, the expansion adds aquatic dinosaurs, very similar to what Dinosaur Island's expansion did. It also throws in things like specialists, which come with Dinosaur Island, and a few other buildings you can put down, other ways of manipulating DNA. So a lot more options. And it feels to me, just from playing that first version of it, that probably, yes, I can see that the base game was, as I say, fairly rudimentary, fairly basic, quite simple to get into and all that. And I think, yes, the extra meat of the expansion probably gives just a lot more to do. Generally very enjoyable. I think I won it. I won. I did win that. So yeah, as I say, aesthetically very cool, looks very good, very similar in a lot of ways. There is a lot of crossover in the two games. Of the two, I don't think I'd come down on either side as really as one or the other that I think is better than them, because they're kind of really doing very similar things. As I own Dinosaur Island and I've got it, I think I'm in the boat that I've invested in Dinosaur Island, and as the games are quite interchangeable in what they're doing, really you only need to own one of these, is my thought on the matter. I think Dinogenics would be, if you don't own one, then probably is an easier sell if you've got a group that don't play small games as much. It's a bit easier entry point. It's a little bit less complex in the base game. So yeah, in those regards, I think Dinogenics is an easier teach, an easier play out of the box, the base game without the expansion. However, Dinosaur Island, the base game, does offer a lot more variety and a bit more complexity to it and a bit more game in it. But they're both equally pretty good. I don't know what the RRPs on them. Possibly Dinosaur Island might be cheaper to pick up at this point because it's been around a bit longer. I know I got it reasonably priced a couple of years ago at an expo. But yeah, there's very little really to break them apart. Aesthetically, they are different in regards to that, so maybe that would sway you. Essentially, they are both doing the same thing. And I think Dinogenics is helped by its expansion, whereas Dinosaur Island, actually the expansion didn't add a lot, just a few more options and variety in the aquatic dinosaurs, which are a little bit OP in some places. So as a complete package, the base Dinosaur Island, I think, is a better offer to a certain extent for gamers, whereas Dinogenics offers more of an entry point level, and with the expansion on, opens itself up to a lot more sort of gamery. It's good. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. As I say, I'd happily play it again. Of the two, as I say, they're so similar. There's really not much in it other than, as I say, aesthetics and really kind of how it plays out in it. But they're good. It's good. I quite enjoyed it. Very fun. I liked Dinosaur Island. I liked Dinogenics. But yeah, they're pretty much doing the same thing, just slightly differently. But yeah, worker placement, stuff like that. There's no dice in Dinogenics. It's all card based. But yeah, fun, interesting. good fun, both very good. Both of them I would recommend either way. If you're interested in the theme, then maybe do a bit of homework as to which one maybe does it for you, whether it's the aesthetics or what's going on, how the gameplay works. But yeah, they're very good. Played Tapestry because I picked up Tapestry reasonably priced the other week, so got a game of that in on Sunday with Jamie, who's never played it before. I enjoy Tapestry. I know it's at its knocks from there because it's a bit random and maybe not quite as balanced as it should do. We use the rebalanced civilizations for it, and it does seem to be that is probably actually a good call. I like Tapestry. I don't know, just something about what it's doing. It's more of an engine building game, and it's quite a peaceful, serene process when you're going through. And I just like the idea of you just trying the efficiency of building an engine and spinning your stuff and kind of doing that. It's very cool. You've got sort of tech tracks. It's supposed to be a Civ game. It is, but it's abbreviated in some places, very abstracted Civ game. Really, it's not like Civilization. There is that. It doesn't really make sense to the theme. But as a game, it's got a lot of that Terraforming Mars vibe to a certain extent in regards to you building the engine, just a different way. But I like it. I really dig it. It's the one Stomach game that I actually played and enjoyed enough to pick up, so that's high praise for me because I tend to be I still come down on the fact that it is overproduced. The buildings, the funky Lilliput Lane buildings, weird choice that they are cool that they're in there, but then the bases don't quite fit properly on the boards. I don't know why they did that. Seems like a really weird design choice, or I don't know, missed opportunity. But yeah, interesting, like Tapestry. If you're a fan of engine builders and that sort of idea with a Civ veneer over the top of it, then there's certainly a lot to enjoy about it. And it has come down in price significantly since its launch. And there is rumours and echoes of an expansion, which is interesting. But yes, still enjoyed Tapestry. I did terribly at it. Lost terribly, but good fun. And then finally we got Sanctum to the table. A couple of times we played it over the Saturday and the Sunday. Sanctum, 2 games of Sanctum in. So Sanctum is from CGE, from Philip, I can't remember his name, Philip Neduk. I don't know, I've destroyed that name. He did Adrenaline, which was kind of like a first-person shootery team shooter board game Euro type mashup. This time we've got is Diablo, the board game. Really, it's not subtle in it. It does look a lot like a lot of the characters and art, and the art is stunning in it. It looks very beautiful, and the boards are great. But essentially the idea is you are playing one of 4 heroes, and you're charging up through levels during the game, leveling yourself up, your stats, your skills, your abilities, getting equipment by murdering lots of creatures which give you equipment, leveling yourself up to a point where you'll reach on the 5th act of the game. You'll attack a giant boss, and then you have a boss fight. And all of that it does very well. I think it's a game that once you have played it a couple of times, as such as I have now, you would get the shorthand for the game, and I think you could whiz along fairly quickly playing it, actually. If you're waiting for everyone to complete their turns, there is a bit of downtime, and it can be a bit finky at certain points. But I think it's such a game that essentially if people are doing certain leveling up things, then the next person can just get on and do their turn, and you can almost all be playing kind of at the same time at certain points and racing up the board. Fun. I really enjoyed it. I think it's very good. It's one that I'd kind of been ummed and ahed at and then took the dive on it. As I say, graphically looks beautiful, really good stunning look of it, and the components are all pretty solid. There's dice chucking in there. I like the leveling up process, the characters. It's got this Euro-ish feel to how you're doing your leveling. But yeah, really good fun. And it does capture that feel of that sort of style again, that Diablo style again, where you're kind of just murdering mobs and grinding and tagging more monsters and killing them and leveling up. It just feels an awful lot like that. It does a very good way of kind of abbreviating that to a tabletop experience. So yeah, all that's very cool. What I would say on it, it does feel that even after 2 plays, we've kind of seen a lot of what the game offers. I mean, you play it all through one night and it's done. There is difficulty levels. You can ramp up the difficulty of the game, and I definitely think that would give it a bit more teeth, as it were, when you're playing it. But I think after about 4 or 5 plays, you're kind of going to feel like you've seen everything it's got. I think then it's going to come down to you knowing what equipment's available and what your key to leveling your character is up. But there's lots of interesting decisions, lots of cool stuff going on. I like the randomness of it. I like the dice rolls, which is nice. I like what it's doing with the thing, I like the leveling. I like the look of it. It does all that really well, and it's really a good game. As I say, whether it's longevity, I don't know. I think potentially after a good dozen or so plays, or half dozen or so plays, you're going to start getting a bit of like, well, we kind of done everything. It'll ramp up the difficulty. That's challenge. It's more of a challenge. But if you're in the market for that really one and done in one evening, that Diablo feel of you leveling a character up, murdering stuff, running through, killing a big boss, competitive sort of game, then yeah, it's really good. Does that really well. So if they've got a gap in your collection for something like that, then I do recommend it. It's good. You can get it up at a reasonable price. I think it's a lot of fun to be had with that one. So that was Sanctum from CGE. So that's what we're playing. So, a couple of bits coming onto the website over this week. I've got a podcast episode 63, I think, is recorded over a week ago. I just need to sit down, edit it, and get that out. As me, Charlie, and Ben were discussing stuff, just general chit chat, really. Speaking of Charlie, he's got a bunch of RPG reviews coming into the site. I've put up Fiasco, literally. It's gone up like the last few hours, so that's up there now. If you want to see the Fiasco boxed edition and what's in that, and he's player that. Really great game, Fiasco. It's like a light RPG, can be played in the evening, uses the base game of the book, used to be in a book, bunch of dice, kind of sets a scenario up. Very Coen Brothers. Lots of, I think the tag, or definitely Charlie used in there's characters with high ambition and low, I've forgotten it. But yeah, if you can think of any of Coen Brothers movies, things like Fargo, or what's the one, Brad Pitt and John Malkovich, gone completely out of my head. Can't think of it, but they'll flash up the thing anyway. Those sort of things of typical Coen Brothers, like Blood Simple, Fargo, all that sort of stuff, of characters just in out of the depth, slightly stupid people doing dangerous, stupid stuff and resulting in probably a lot of innocent bystanders dead. Is kind of what Fiasco does. It's that style of thing. It's just this ever escalating carnage. It's fun, it's entertaining, really enjoy Fiasco. I really like the look of the boxed edition, which is sneaking into retailers as we speak at the moment, from Bully Pulpit Games. Really good. So there's a review up by Charlie for that. There's a bunch of other stuff. There's Trouble for Hire, he's got coming, Greendale Moor, I think it is. There's also I Hunt more zombies. There's a bunch of stuff he's got coming anyway. There's about 4 or 5 reviews. And it was Charlie's birthday weekend. Happy birthday, Charlie, for reaching the grand, ripe old age of 40 years of age. Young whippersnapper that he is. So happy birthday, Charlie. News stuff, board game news. So an eagle-eyed someone, I think it was Board Game Trading in chat, I saw this actually, someone had spotted that Restoration Games, those lovely folks Rob Davio's linked to that did the Dark Tower reprint, they're basically reprinting lots of classic old games, repurposing them, redesigning, tweaking the design, making it a bit more modern for modern board game audiences, and republishing. They did Downforce, which is a really cracking little racing car game, like a bit Camel-up-ish. Love Downforce, really good. They did, I say Dark Tower, the reprint of that I've not played. Stop Thief, which was pretty good. If you're Unmatched is a thing which I've not touched or played any of the Unmatched games, but they do look very cool. So I am tempted by that. And there's the new Cobbles of Fog game coming out from them, which looks really cool because it's got Sherlock Holmes and Dracula and the Invisible Man. I think Jekyll and Hyde in it, in like a arena style fighty type stuff. It basically takes the Star Wars, I think it was Galactic Battles or something, and repurposes it as different things. You can buy packs of like Bruce Lee and Bigfoot, and just basically taking historical fantasy figures, characters, and mashing them up and having a fight. And offshot of news of this is that they've announced a Buffy version of that with 4 Buffy characters: Spike, Buffy, I can't remember who else is in there, Angel, I'm sure, and Willow, I think, in there. My wife is a massive Buffy fan. Buffy, if you've never seen Buffy, you should definitely get into Buffy. Really great show. From the 90s now. It's That had been around a while, but absolutely fantastic. Some astoundingly good writing in it. Really good TV show if you're into your Monsters of the Week type stuff. Really great. Loved Buffy. I've diverged into that, though. Back to what we were talking about. So anyway, yes, Restoration Games have... someone has looked... They've applied for a trademark copyright for Hero Quest Legacies. Now... That's interesting. Hero Quest, if you don't know, was a collaboration between Games Workshop and MB to produce essentially like a dungeon crawl game for kids. Really, it was out in the 80s. Everyone will have seen the review by the bearded bard. I think it is, with the war sword. So it's a great little simple. It's a very simplistic, and it has aged in its time, and I own Hero Quest still, and I've played it with the kids a few years ago, and it is fun. And it got a lot of, the original game had like 3D furniture and minis and stuff, and it was a simple but kind of cool early doors, get you into dungeon crawls. Obviously surpassed by stuff like Descent and Gloomhaven and all that, but as a base thing, it was fantastic. Now, Davio's done legacy games, we know. He has worked with Hasbro and stuff, which probably gives him this shoe-in in regards to the rights issues over Hero Quest, because it's all a bit of a mess. There's been numerous attempts to reprint Hero Quest and failed miserably. I think it was a French company a few years ago ran a Kickstarter for it that's never, I think it was stopped. I don't know if it funded, but nothing's ever emerged from that. And there's always been copyright claims against people trying to do it. So, Hero Quest and Legacies version together does sound very interesting. We should wait and see on that. Nothing else has been officially announced by Restoration. Whether this was some sneaky what's-it has spotted it and it's been leaked early, who knows? But yes, a new Hero Quest game from Rob Davio and Restoration. That could be pretty cool. So we'll watch for that. Other news, well, there was Unmatched, which I was going to mention, but we've covered that in my ramble before that. So there's all that. So that's the board game news. Yes, that is all the board game news. Sad news in a more nerdery thing is that John Saxon, the actor, passed away over the weekend. At ripe old age 83. Saxon is very much a 70s, 80s actor, turned up in a lot of exploitation movies, as well as Enter the Dragon. You may have known him as Roper, the American fighter in there with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee and all that in there. He was a great character actor. Also, if you've watched any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, then you would know him as definitely number 1 and number 3 as the dad to Nancy, the girl in the first couple of movies. He was a black belt as well. He was like a proper roughy-tufty fighter guy. Anyway, what brings it up is that he starred in probably one of my childhood delights was Battle Beyond the Stars, which I have in my old imported DVD of this. So Battle Beyond the Stars was probably my Star Wars because I couldn't see Star Wars, if that makes sense. Now, I saw Star Wars when it came out, but due to the aged time period that was back in the 70s and 80s, is that that's going to fall over, so I'm just going to give up. Is that movies would take there was forever to come to VHS. They'd take even longer to come to TV. There was like an 8-year wait or something between there. So you would see the movie at the cinema. You wouldn't maybe see it again for maybe 5 or 6 years if you were lucky. Now, Battle Beyond the Stars was a Roger Corman produced movie. It was a very cheap, quite expensive for Corman actually. And it was basically the Magnificent Seven in space. So much so that it actually had Robert Vaughn, who was in the original Magnificent Seven, playing his own character, but in the sci-fi version. Really good, interesting cast. George Peppard was in it as a space cowboy, and literally is what you would expect he was. Saxon turned up in this as the bad guy. He was essentially some sort of weird, crazy, mutant-obsessed, plastic surgeon type obsessed lunatic, going around the galaxy basically killing lots of people and then having parts of them grafted onto himself. It's essentially it, with a bunch of mutant army. Cool ship design, which, as another nerdy note, was designed by James Cameron. Unbelievably, him of obviously Aliens and Titanic and all the other stuff he's done. But he designed a lot of the spaceships and did art direction in it, including my favourite spaceship in the entire world, or galaxy, which was essentially a spaceship with tits with a female AI on board that got real narky. really cool little curio. It is aged now. I mean, the special effects, yes, they look a bit ropey for what the time. It looks like a Buck Rogers TV show style of special effects, if we're honest with you. But just the sheer weight of effort involved kind of brings it up a level, really. And something else, it's got a James Horner score, and the score is fantastic. Amazing bit of music, which opened the door for Horner, and he did Starship Wrath of Khan later on, which has got hints of the Battle Beyond the Stars soundtrack in it. Great soundtrack, really brilliant. So yeah, I've gone on a nerdgasm on that one, but I mean, Battle Beyond the Stars, huge favourite of mine growing up. I watched it incessantly, still own it now. It's on Prime. I've seen it on Amazon Prime. If you've got that, you should better catch it and watch it. You won't be disappointed. Get some popcorn and pair for some 80s cheesy sci-fi goodness. But yes, John Saxon, anyway, he's sadly passed over the weekend, which is a shame. Great exploitation, sort of those sort of horrors and all sorts of crazy shit he turned up in. But he's gone, made lots of movies, made Battle Beyond the Stars, which puts him high on my list. So we salute him and wish him well in whatever adventures in the next life that he's getting on with. Right, that's some we completely distracted myself by nerdery there. UK Games Expo have announced their shortlist for their awards. If I'm honest with you, I never get the UK Games Expo Awards. There's a bunch of stuff nominated. It always seems to be just a bit of a meh. Considering the size of Expo as a show, and it is on the world stage now, quite a thing, the awards just seem to be a bit of a non-starter, for one of it. They don't seem to have any buzz around them. There's not really much transparency of how games get put into the charts. There is a feeling, and I'll be honest, I'm one of them that feel that definitely previous years have shown it, is the bigger the sponsor you are to the UK Games Expo, the more of your games are going to get into the voting to be put up for an award. It does feel that way sometimes. So it's a bit of a weird one. Why is it not getting more of a buzz? Why are they not involving maybe, I don't know, YouTubers or board game personalities in the voting? I don't know. It's all kind of really weird, shuttered behind doors. It just feels a bit of a non-event, if I'm honest with you. I've never been one to follow their awards. Their awards don't dictate any way of any interest what I'll go and follow, because most of the time there's some random stuff on there. I see that the June reprint is in there as a vote. Excellent. But yeah, generally, yeah, I don't know. Have a look at it if you want. But yeah, if anyone can explain to me the UK Games Expo Awards, does anyone take them seriously? Does anyone follow them as a thing? Because I don't personally, and I find it a bit. So yeah, they should be a bigger thing, really. Something that came up that amused me the other day was there was a discussion about New Earth turned up again on one of the things. Now, New Earth, here it is here. There it is. New Earth, there we go. NJ Higgins designed this. So New Earth came out a good few years ago at UK Games Expo. The designer of this game, I believe, runs Luderati, I think it is. Excuse me if I got that wrong, which is a board game cafe up near Nottingham, I believe. He produced this opus, this huge, big game of I don't even know what we're doing. It's some post-apocalyptic sci-fi developer society expanding their influence on Earth's last surviving continent. So it's kind of like a city builder-y thing. It's now. I'll turn that. There we go. I'd never played this. I picked it up for a £5 with the intent of reviewing it. And what prompted me to do that is because there is a thread on Board Game Geek, which was resurfaced recently in Board Game Trading and Chat discussion regarding the design on this. Just frankly does appear to be a bit of a narcissist sociopath, potentially. Allegedly. Lawyers are stand by. Because there was a thread on there where essentially some people rated the game a 1, and he went out to defend his game as a designer, which I won't argue with. Maybe if you're a designer, you've put your love, all your efforts, you've poured everything into this, and no doubt a significant amount of money as well, because there was a hell of a lot of these at the original launch of this expo. It was a big stand with boxes of this stuff, no one on it. But yeah, this thread just goes on forever. It's epic thread because he decided to go out and attack, or to threaten, even in some cases, these reviewers, giving this game bad reviews or 1 marks or whatever. In fact, legal action was threatened at one point. As you imagine, that's just not a great idea. And it is an interesting read if you can find it. I'll maybe put a link at the bottom of this video because just this car crash TV type feel, you go, oh God, what do you think? What were you doing? Oh my goodness. Yes, so I picked this up with the intent of playing it and reviewing it, with maybe to a certain extent, maybe a little feeling of that just to join the party. That was a few years ago now. I still haven't got around to doing it. And I know Stephen of Board Game Trading Chat has been forever poking me to do it. At some point, I think soon, I will get this to the table. It is a terrifying prospect because it looks shockingly bad. There's a lot of stuff of cubes in it. I've not even popped the components. There you go. That shows you what I've got. There's a rule book that seemed mostly indecipherable, what I skimmed through it a while ago. And the whole thing just looks down. Oh, it's got paper money in it. Lovely. Look at that. That's beautiful. And a dice. I mean, it just looks. There's the boards. Doesn't it look thrilling? So you know what? I won't make any. I'm judging it before I've played it. So yes, New Earth. At some point soon, we'll give New Earth a day in court, and we'll see how wonderful that is, or not, as the case may be. So yeah, follow the thread. Have a read on that. If you want to giggle, read that because that'll put a smile on your face. I think. Yes. So that, I think, for the moment is that really for the discussions currently. Yes, that's it. There's some stuff coming obviously up on the website. As I say, a bunch of stuff from Charlie. There's a podcast episode to drop. There was a bunch of video reviews that I've been trying to slowly but steadily tweak and edit. Will be coming out soon, and we'll be back next week, I'm sure, with another one of these. Anyway, yes, that's it really, isn't it? Have a wonderful week. If there's anything you think that I should be talking about or should know about, then certainly let me know. I've not forgotten the giveaway. I've been contacted by a couple of publishers with the potential of getting some games to actually do on the giveaway, unbelievably. So I'll hold fire on that until such a point as I maybe get some sense or something on that, in which case, if we do, we will go ahead with that. If not, plan B will be some TAT. So yes, we're in no rush to get anywhere, as per usual. So yes, there you go. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stuff of that ilk. Pop over to Board Game Trading and Chat's Board Game TV if you want to look at my other video I did this week, which was the July releases. I will be doing another one in August releases. And that's it for the minute. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful time, and stuff, yes, and things and nonsense. Until then, thank you and good night, or goodbye, or good morning. I don't know. Ta-ta.
Bye.